Namaste children, welcome to you all in the lecture 6 of the chapter number 2 acid, bases and salts. In the previous class I told you about the preparation of the sodium hydroxide, how to prepare it. We have discussed about the chlor-alkali process. What is the chlor-alkali process? The electrolysis of the brine which is done to produce the sodium hydroxide, in which along with the sodium hydroxide we also obtain chlorine gas along with the hydrogen gas. It means in this reaction of the brine, the electrolysis of the brine, we get the three things: hydrogen, chlorine and sodium hydroxide. So as in this reaction we get the sodium hydroxide and the chlorine gas. So chlor means chlorine and alkali, sodium hydroxide is a alkali. So as both are produced in this reaction during the electrolysis of brine, so we tell that this reaction will be known as chlor-alkali process. Now another thing is there, what are the uses of these all the three things those are produced during the electrolysis of brine? Number one is hydrogen. Where it is used? It is used as a fuel, it is used as a margarine, it is used in the manufacturing of the ammonia gas. You might have seen that N2 plus 3H2 it produces 2NH3, means hydrogen gas is produced to produce the ammonia. It is also used in the manufacturing of the fertilizers, ammonical fertilizers, which you learn in the higher classes. Another is the uses of the chlorine gas. Where it is used? It is used in the water treatment, it is used in the swimming pools, it is used in the manufacturing of the PVC, which is known as the polyvinyl chloride. It is used as a disinfectant in the various places. It is used to produce the CFCs. It is used in the manufacturing of the pesticides. Talk about the hydrogen and the chlorine. When both are used together, it produces the hydrochloric acid, and it is used for the different purposes, for cleaning of the steel, for ammonia chloride. Ammonium chloride we can produce, we can use for manufacturing of the medicines. It is also used in the manufacturing of the cosmetics. Then if you take the chlorine and the sodium hydroxide both together, then it is used for making the bleach. It is used in the household bleaches and bleaching of the fabrics like the cloths. In the laundries it is used. What is the use of the sodium hydroxide? Sodium hydroxide is used in the greasing of the metals. It is used in the manufacturing of the soaps. It is used in the manufacturing of the detergents. In making the papers, means it is used in the paper industries. It is also used in making the artificial fibers. So these are the different uses of the hydrogen gas, chlorine gas and the sodium hydroxide. Now come to the another slide, that is what reaction takes place at the cathode and the anode during the chlor-alkali process. Let me tell you, number one is the reaction which is taking place at the cathode. At the cathode, when we see hydrogen ion which was produced during the reaction, during the breakdown of that raw material, hydrogen ion is produced. So this hydrogen ion will be receiving the electron from the cathode and producing the hydrogen atom, neutral atom, and this hydrogen atom will combine with the another hydrogen atom to produce the hydrogen gas. This is the reaction which takes place at the cathode. And cathode, always remember, it is the negatively charged terminal, means it is having the excess amount of the electrons. Electrons are negatively charged particles, so these electrons will be received by the hydrogen ion to produce the hydrogen atom, and again this hydrogen atom will combine with the another hydrogen atom to produce the hydrogen gas. Similarly, the reaction which takes place at the anode, which is a positive terminal. So here the chloride ion which was there with us, this chloride ion will give out the electron, because chloride is a particle which is having the negative charge on it. When negative charge is present, so means it is having the excess amount of electrons. So this electron has to be given out by the chloride atom to convert the into chlorine particle. Chlorine means it is having the no charge. Chlorine will do not have any kind of charge on it, means it is the neutral particle, and it will be produced after giving out the electron by the chloride ion, because this anode is having the positive charge. So positive charge means it will have the attraction towards the electrons. So electrons will be moving towards the anode, and this chlorine atom will combine with the another chlorine atom to produce the chlorine gas. This happens during the chloralkali process or electrolysis of brine, which is used for the manufacturing of the sodium hydroxide. Reaction is cited here. NaCl, this is called brine. When it is mixed with the water, then all together. When sodium chloride, a salt, is mixed with the water or dissolved in the water, then this solution is known as brine. When we do the electrolysis of this brine, it produces sodium hydroxide, chlorine and hydrogen gas. I think it is clear. In this process, chlorine and sodium hydroxide, which is an alkali, both are produced. That is why it is called chloralkali process. Now come to the another thing, the raw material which is used by us for the manufacturing of the sodium hydroxide. Then how we can get the sodium hydroxide, where we can obtain? Let me tell you, the occurrence of the sodium chloride. It is obtained from the seawater, because seawater is a large source which has the large amount of the sodium chloride, the common salt, and other salts are also found. So we can get it from the seawater by the evaporation of the seawater in the large lagoons. Those are made near the seashore in the coastal region. Second is, it is obtained in the form of rock salt, found in the form of the solid deposits. Especially it is found in the Himachal Pradesh. A place is known as Mandi. All are familiar with this place. There also we can get it in the form of rock salt. In the Punjab, place is there Khera. It is at present found in the Pakistan. It is not in our country. Earlier it was there in our India. So it is mentioned here. So it is found, but it is in the Pakistan. Third is inland lakes. It is found due to the natural evaporation of the water of the inland lakes, like Sambar Lake. All are familiar, you might have got in the social science. Sambar Lake, where it is found in the Rajasthan, and Great Salt Lake in the Utah of the USA, United States of America. So this is the occurrence of the common salt, where we can get the common salt. Next is properties. What are the properties of this common salt? Number one, it is colorless solid. Its solubility, if you talk about the solubility, then 35 gram of this salt can be dissolved in 100 grams. In 100 grams of water. In 100 gram of water it can be dissolved. So this is the solubility of the common salt, that 35 grams per 100 gram. It is the solubility of the common salt. Next is its melting point. Melting point means when it can be converted into the liquid at around the temperature, that is 820 degrees Celsius. 820 degree Celsius, not the degree Fahrenheit. It is in the degree Celsius. This is the melting point, means at this temperature common salt will be converted into the liquid, means it will get converted from solid to liquid. That is called the melting point. Action of the heat. If you heat it, then what will happen? On heating, a crackling sound is produced due to breaking of the crystals. Due to the breaking of the crystals, a crackling sound is produced. Means this is the new feature which is found in the common salt. If you heat it, a crackling sound will be produced. Why it will be produced? Due to the breaking down of the crystals. Another is, at low temperature it exists in the form of NaCl, and along with that NaCl there is two molecules of water also loosely attached, means it is hydrated salt. Which salt? Hydrated salt. It is known as hydrated salt when there is a presence of water of crystallization. So it is a hydrated salt at the low temperature. Another is hygroscopic in the nature. Why it is hygroscopic in the nature? When you keep it in the open atmosphere, then it will absorb the moisture of the atmosphere and it becomes liquid. After some time it will turn into the liquid, means it will have the amount of water attached to it. If it is exposed to the environment, means it will be hygroscopic. The property of absorbing the moisture from the atmosphere, that is known as hygroscopic in nature. Another is action of the H2SO4. If you keep this salt in the presence of the sulfuric acid, if it is reacting, then what will happen? NaCl reacting with the sulfuric acid, that is H2SO4, it produces sodium hydrogen sulfate. Sodium hydrogen sulfate or sodium bisulfate along with the hydrochloric acid. Another is reaction with the silver nitrate. If it reacts with the silver nitrate, then what will happen? Silver nitrate plus NaCl, it gives AgCl plus NaNO3. It is a kind of double displacement reaction where the exchange of ions are taking place when silver nitrate is reacting with the sodium chloride. So this is another property of the common salt. Next is another compound which can be produced by us, which we will be learning in this chapter, that is the bleaching powder. What is bleaching powder? What is the bleaching powder? Bleaching powder is also known as calcium oxychloride. Calcium oxychloride means CaOCl2. This is calcium oxychloride. How it can be prepared? How it can be prepared? For that, if you take the lime water, that is known as slacked lime or calcium hydroxide, when you pass the chlorine gas in the calcium hydroxide or in the lime water, then we can get the bleaching powder along with the water. This is the process for the preparation of the bleaching powder, which is known as calcium oxychloride. It can be written in this form also, it can be written in this form also. On interaction with water, what will happen? Bleaching powder releases chlorine with a response which is responsible for the bleaching action, especially this chlorine gas which is present here in the formula of the calcium oxychloride or the bleaching powder. It is visible to you. When it is reacting with the water, then at that time this chlorine gas is given out, and this chlorine is responsible for the bleaching action of the bleaching powder. If there is no chlorine, then it will have no characteristics, properties of the calcium oxychloride or the bleaching powder. What are the properties? Let us discuss. Number one physical property is it is yellowish white powder. If you observe it carefully, it will be going to give the yellowish white color, and it is in the form of powder. Action with the air, when it comes in the contact of the air, then the carbon dioxide which is present in the air, it will react with the bleaching powder and it will form the calcium carbonate along with the chlorine gas. Here also chlorine gas is given out when it is reacting with the carbon dioxide present in the air. Action with the acids, when it is reacting with the acid like the hydrochloric acid, it will produce calcium chloride, water, and chlorine gas is given out. This is the reaction of this bleaching powder with the acid and with the carbon dioxide present in the air of the atmosphere. Now next is reaction with the sulfuric acid. What is the reaction with the sulfuric acid? See here, it is CaOCl2, calcium oxychloride, bleaching powder, reacting with the sulfuric acid H2SO4. It has to be written in the subscript, but I think I forgot to do it. So it is H2SO4. You take care that this 2 should go in the subscript in the lower right side of the symbol. So it is H2SO4. When it is reacting with the bleaching powder, it produces calcium sulfate, water, and chlorine gas. Calcium oxychloride bleaching powder when reacting with the sulfuric acid producing the calcium sulfate, water and chlorine gas. Next is, what are the uses? It is used in the industries. How it is used in the industries? As a oxidizing agent due to the presence of insufficient amount of acid. Insufficient amount of acid if it is found, then it will be acting as a oxidizing agent. See here, 2CaOCl2 plus H2SO4, it gives CaSO4 plus CaCl2 plus 2HClO. These three things are produced: calcium sulfate, calcium chloride and hypochlorous acid. This HClO, it is representing to the hypochlorous acid. Then this hypochlorous acid, when it is heated, it gives the hydrogen chloride and oxygen will be given out, means it is the nascent oxygen, elemental oxygen. And another use, it is used for the manufacturing of the chloroform. People use the chloroform to make the people senseless. It is also produced with the help of the bleaching powder. I think it is clear. Now move to the another thing, that is the uses of the bleaching powder. What are the uses of the bleaching powder? Where it can be used? Number 1, it is used for bleaching the dirty clothes in the laundry. Especially it is used in the laundries. The dirty clothes can be bleached with the help of the bleaching powder as a bleaching agent for cotton and linen in the textile industries. Especially in the linen and textile industry, it is used as a bleaching agent for the cotton as well as linen textiles industries. People are using it. Another is, it is used as a strong oxidizing agent, hence it is used as a oxidizer in many industries. As it is a strong oxidizing agent, so it is used as a oxidizer in the different kind of industries. Next is, it is used as a disinfectant, which is used for disinfecting the water to make it potable water, or which is fit for human consumption because it is a disinfecting agent. It will kill the microbes present in the water and it will make the water fit for drinking purpose. These are the uses of the bleaching powder. Next is another chemical compound which can be produced, that is baking soda. In the baking soda, chemical name is sodium hydrogen carbonate. Sodium hydrogen carbonate is also known as baking soda. How it can be prepared? It can be prepared by the Solvay process, in which limestone is used for production of the carbon dioxide and calcium oxide. Then this carbon dioxide which is produced here, then it is passed through the concentrated solution of sodium chloride and ammonia. Then it helps to produce the sodium hydrogen carbonate. See, the reaction is given here: NaCl plus NH3 plus CO2 plus H2O. All these three things are taken from the air, and ammonia gas and the sodium chloride salt. These four things when taken, all will be reacting with each other and producing sodium hydrogen carbonate along with the ammonium chloride. What is this? Ammonium chloride, and it is sodium hydrogen carbonate. This is the process how we can prepare the sodium hydrogen carbonate. It is also known as baking soda. Now come to the next point, properties. Another thing which is given in your textbook, that is, are salts really dry? Are salts really dry? Are the crystalline salts really dry? Then you take the example here given. One is the copper sulfate along with the 5 molecules of water. Another is calcium sulfate along with the 2 molecules of water. And third is sodium carbonate along with the 10 molecules of water. Then next is ferrous sulfate along with the 7 molecules of water. Then crystals of the salts. Water of crystallization. Certain salts form crystals by combining with a definite proportion of the water that combines with the salt is called the water of crystallization. Here you are finding here, visible now to all of you, this water molecule attached to all of them. These water molecules are representing to the water of crystallization, because of which these salts are crystalline in the nature. As soon as you heat these salts, this water of crystallization will be given out, and as a result of that, this crystalline form of the salt will be converted into the amorphous form, means in the form of a powder it will be converted. So this is water of crystallization. So when you take any test tube, in the test tube, when take the any salt here and heat it, then what will observe? In this inner wall of the test tube, you will find there are the water droplets. These water droplets indicates that yes, these salts are not really dry. They contains the water which is coming out from the salts as a result of heating them. So we can say no, the salts are not really dry. They contains the water of crystallization with them, and they are referred to the hydrated salt. If water molecule is given out, then it will be referred to the dehydrated salt or amorphous salt. Next is, already I have told to you, but here it is given hydrated salt. What is the hydrated salt and what is the anhydrous salt? The salts which contains the water of crystallization are known as hydrated salt. Example is ferrous sulfate with the 7 molecule of water. This is the example of the hydrated salt. Another is anhydrous salt, the salt which do not have any kind of the water of crystallization. They are known as anhydrous salt. Our also can be known as dehydrated salt, or they also can be known as dehydrated salt. This written wrongly. This is salts. They are also known as dehydrated salt. Example is ferrous sulfate, FeSO4. Here 7 molecules of water are available, but here water molecule is removed, so it will be referred to the anhydrous salt, or we can say dehydrated salt. Now here you see, as I have told you in the beginning, when you take this burner, in this burner, if you see, we are taking the test tube or the boiling tube, holding it with the help of the pair of tongue you will be getting in the laboratory, and it is captured with the help of test tube holder, and there is a boiling tube, and water droplets are visible here. Where from these water droplets have come? Actually we have taken the copper sulfate crystals, and these copper sulfate crystals, as I told you, they have the water of crystallization present with them. As soon as we heat it with the help of the burner, then this water present with them, it will be coming out, and we are seeing here that water has come out. Initially water was not there. So where from it has come? It has come because of heating the salt, and salt contains the water of crystallization. That is why water has been given out after heating. So it will be converted into the anhydrous salt, and earlier with the water molecule it was known as hydrated salt. I think it is clear now. Now come to the plaster of Paris. Plaster of Paris. What is the plaster of Paris? Gypsum. If you take the gypsum, CaSO4 into 2H2O, CaSO4 into 2H2O, when you take it, that is called gypsum, and heat it at the temperature of 100 degrees Celsius. At the temperature of 100 degrees Celsius, or we can say 373 degree Kelvin, then it gives the calcium sulfate hemihydrate. What is the hemihydrate? Which contains the half molecule of water, and 3/2 molecule of water will be given out, means plaster of Paris will be produced, and 3/2 molecule of water will be given out when we heat the gypsum, that is CaSO4 into 2H2O. It is the gypsum heated at the temperature of 100 degrees Celsius. Then it gives, what is given? Plaster of Paris and 3/2 molecule of water, or 1.5 molecule of water. It is the same thing. Understood? I think it is known to you that 1.5 equal to 3/2 molecule of water. and this is the gypsum. When it is heated at the temperature of 100 degrees Celsius or 373 degree Kelvin, it turned into the plaster of Paris and 1.5 molecule of water is given out. One more thing you should know, that CaSO4 into half H2O means 2 formula units of calcium sulfate share 1 molecule of water. Share 1 molecule of water. That is known as CaSO4 into half H2O. Half H2O is present along with the calcium sulfate, 1 formula unit. If you take 2 unit of the calcium sulfate and here only 1 molecule of water, then 1 unit of this calcium sulfate will have how much water? Definitely 2 formula unit of calcium sulfate sharing 1 molecule of water, then 1 formula unit of calcium sulfate will have half molecule of water. Understand? So this is actually, it is not possible to have half molecule of water, but to represent in the chemical reaction that half molecule of water is attached here and 1.5 molecule of water is given out. So it is how it happens. This is the explanation. That let me tell you in the another slide blank, then it will be clear to you. Here you see, you take the calcium sulfate. What is calcium sulfate? It is calcium sulfate. Okay, 1 minute. If you write like this, CaSO4 into half molecule of water, then here you can multiply this half here to this side. So what you will get? CaSO4, here it will become 2 molecules into H2O. That is only, means 2 formula unit of the calcium sulfate. Here 2 formula units are there, having how much molecule of water? 1 molecule of water. If we take it, make it only calcium sulfate alone, 2 formula unit of calcium sulfate, 1 molecule of water. If we take only 1 molecule of calcium sulfate, then how much water will be there? Definitely it will become half. That is the principle behind it. Actually it is not possible, but to show it we can write like this. Otherwise we can write in this form also. 2 CaSO4 into H2O. It will be equal to CaSO4 into half H2O. I think it is clear now. Now come to the next slide. Properties. What are the properties? Number 1, its color is white. Reaction with the water, when it is reacting with the water, it turns back into the gypsum. Means this calcium sulfate hemihydrate, which is known as plaster of Paris, when you mix the suitable amount of water, it becomes hard and it gets converted into the gypsum. That is called CaSO4 into 2H2O. Understand? This is the reaction of the plaster of Paris or calcium sulfate hemihydrate. Half molecule of water, it is representing to the hemihydrate. So name is given to this chemical substance, that is plaster of Paris. It is known as calcium sulfate hemihydrate. Reacting with the 1.5 molecule of water gets converted into the calcium sulfate dihydrate, which is known as gypsum. Now this much. Thank you students. We'll meet in the another class.